Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. And today, we're getting the North Atlantic experience. Everybody thinks of Battleship New Jersey and the other fast battleships during World War II as operating primarily in the Pacific against the Japanese. However, New Jersey and a couple of the other fast battleships also spent some time in the North Atlantic. And that's a very unknown period of history for these ships. So today we're going to do a short video, talk about what they were doing there and why they eventually stopped being there and all went to the Pacific. And otherwise, we're just going to keep it short because it's a little bit frigid out here. So, the main reason American fast battleships operate in the North Atlantic is to help the British home fleet protect against German battleships breaking out into the North Atlantic. The German battleships, particularly Tirpitz and Scharnhorst, were operating out of Norwegian fjords a little bit after the US enters the war. However, with the Royal Navy having to fight in the North Atlantic, in the Mediterranean, and now in the Pacific, their capital ships are spread pretty thin. So the United States agrees to help cover North Atlantic convoys. We've been doing that with battleships like New York, Texas, and Arkansas since we even entered the war. But now we decide to commit fast battleships that are every bit the equal of the Kriegsmarine ships. So early on in the war, battleships like Washington and Alabama spend time attached to the home fleet, just on North Atlantic convoy runs, waiting for one of the German battleships to come out. When Scharnhorst actually sorties, it happens to be a British battleship, Duke of York, that manages to catch her and sink her. But if it had been a different day of the week, it might have well just as been Washington, Alabama, New Jersey that could have been there. By the time New Jersey does her North Atlantic stint in late '43, Tirpitz is the only German heavy ship that's operable, which is a big deal because she's the most powerful German battleship ever built and the heaviest European battleship. New Jersey has just been commissioned in May of '43. The Iowas are a brand new class of ship. Iowa had only been commissioned a couple months earlier than her. So a lot of shakedown stuff, a lot of training, and a lot of repairs need to be made during this time as they figure out, you know, what works, what doesn't work on this new class of ship. Some early modifications include the addition of more 40mm guns than were designed and were on her as completed. The enclosed bridge is added at this time. Very critical when you're operating in the North Atlantic. Notice Iowa, which is sent to the Pacific, does not get an enclosed bridge until 1945, but New Jersey, sent up to Casco Bay, Maine, to cover the North Atlantic convoy routes, almost immediately gets an enclosed bridge. What's going on there? So, they're making changes, they're training. So, New Jersey spends her first couple of months as a commissioned vessel operating out of Casco Bay, Maine, doing training. It's relatively safe there. The U.S. has aircraft patrols and destroyer patrols that are protecting the East Coast pretty well at this point, compared to earlier in '42, the second happy time when German U-boats are able to sink American ships with impunity off the coast. By mid-'43, that's not an issue. This is a safe place for battleships to operate, to work up, get the crew trained, get their experience. And then, New Jersey is the last ship that does this duty. British midget submarines are able to sneak into the fjord where Tirpitz is and disable her, keeping her from sailing again. And she will never sortie after that. And a little bit later on, she's sunk. So by the end of '43, the German surface navy is no longer a threat at all. New Jersey is sent to the Pacific, and subsequent American battleships like Missouri, when they're working up, are sent to the Caribbean, an equally safe place, but a better place to work up and train for going to the South Pacific. New Jersey does not earn any battle stars for operating in the North Atlantic. She doesn't participate in any campaigns. Essentially, she's just training off the coast of Maine, but she's there to respond if Tirpitz were to sortie. which she doesn't. And so we don't talk about this much at the museum because we don't really do anything. We're ready to do something, but we don't. So if you ever come through and you wonder why we don't talk about this, why we always talk about our Pacific service and our later war service, that's why. We could have done some cool stuff, but the Kriegsmarine didn't sail and give us the chance to. If you want to know my thoughts on how New Jersey would stack up to the Queen of the North, we did a video comparing Bismarck-class battleships to New Jersey. That's in the comment section down below. If you want a spoiler, that is a fight that even an untrained crew on this ship could have probably won. Which theater of World War II do you find more interesting? For me, of course, it's the Pacific, if you hadn't guessed, which is why I tend to gravitate towards museum ships that operated in that theater. But I'd love to hear which one you think is most important, most interesting, most critical to the overall war. Let us know in the comment section down below. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. If you would like to support the museum, there's a link in the description below for ways you can donate. And you can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find out about our channel and our museum. Thanks for watching.